Alright, what is up, guys? I am back yet again talking about video games. That is right. I had so much fun making my Wizardry video about a month ago where I talked about that game that just absolutely gave me nightmares as a kid, that I have returned with a game that I think gave a lot of us nightmares as a kid. And it may actually have a really creepy nightmare conspiracy surrounding it and its creator, Vince Perri. That is right, guys. My name is Cheetahmen Kellum, and welcome to Cheetahmen Kellum Presents, as today we are going to talk about Action 52, the most infamous NES game ever made, and its mysterious, shadowy, shrouded founder, Mr. Vince Perri, a man who is so difficult to track down that ominous email responses are sent back to those trying to have a word with the founder of Action 52 himself. And all caps warnings asking the question, why do you want to know this? That is right, it is like a real life creepypasta right here about our very own favorite NES game ever made, Action 52, starring the Cheetahmen. And that is right, guys. We're going to get right on into this. And yes, stick around, as there is going to be some clips of me attempting to play Action 52 and having about as much fun with it as one would expect to have with a game like Action 52. So first, let's talk a little bit about what Action 52 is. What the game itself is, what it was supposed to be, and what it unfortunately never turned out to be. Quite simply put, it was the brainchild of a man named Vince Perri, who I do believe kind of fell under what I would call the fun uncle syndrome of middle-aged men. As in, he didn't know too much about video games, but he probably was the cool kind of guy who would sit there and watch his kids play them. I always tried to get my mom to watch me play video games as a kid, and I think I could get her attention for all of about maybe like 5 minutes before she was like, I am getting the fuck out of here. Current Affairs is on, goddammit. Why am I watching you play Sega Master System? But, Vince Perri seemed like the kind of guy, he seemed like a cool guy, Apparently the story behind this game is that he got his son, who was a 9-year-old at the time, a copy of a Taiwanese bootleg video game that had like 40 different games on it, and all in one cart. And thinking like the fun uncle and not like somebody coming from game design, he just thought to himself, wow, this is really a nifty idea. You throw 40 games onto one cartridge. I mean, think about it. How many kids do we even know at the time that had 40 games, let alone 52? I had a Nintendo when I was a kid, and I most certainly did not have 52 games. I think I had like 10 games. And I think like 8 of those 10 were borrowed from friends who just were too lazy to ever come back over and pick them up. So I had like Action 2, And one day I think I'm going to talk about some of my favorite games. I did a little video about one that actually inspired me to do a lot of writing. I think that might just very well be the next one. Anyway, staying on track here. Action 52 was released in the very early 90s. 1991 it came out. Alright, and by this time the Super Nintendo was already pretty much rocking, rocking the sales at your Toys R Us's and your Walmarts and stuff. So you already had like your 16-bit capacity out there. Why was anybody going to freak out over Action 52? Well, once again, I think Perri, thinking from the fun uncle stance, figured, hey, it's 52 games in one. Like a parent, and I'm going to be honest with you, like that would get any parent back in the 90s who was not familiar with games, which was like pretty much every parent back in the early 90s. I think I had like one friend whose parents played video games when I was a kid, and it was like the weirdest fucking thing when I'd go over to his house and like see his mom and dad playing Legend of Zelda. I was like, holy crap, they're over 15 and they're playing video games? What the fuck is going on here? And it was so cool because they were really into it. But back in the early 90s, you didn't see that a lot. Video games were more of a kid's thing. Yeah, you did clearly have adults that played video games, but in the United States, not so much. Like I said, it was kind of a kid's toy. And I remember trying, like I said, begging my mom to come in and like watch me play Double Dragon or something, and trying to get her to be as interested in it as I was, which was really impossible. So it is kind of cool that, adults now play games. Like it's just really common to go over to like your 40-year-old friend's house and they're just like, what do you want to play, some Call of Duty? That's kind of cool. It definitely shows the shift in society's view of video games from when I was a kid to now. But back on track, all right? So yes, I think he was coming from that fun uncle thought process, of 52 games in one. I mean, it's brilliant. And being that, and I think it also just, when you look at the quality of the games, which were notoriously awful, like I said, there's a clip coming up where I try to play a few of them, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I think Mr. Perri was thinking from the who cares, it's just a video game. It's bright colors on a screen. Kids don't give a shit about quality. They just want shit that moves around in front of them. Definitely the wrong thought process. Now, I will say this, and as we look at some of the games, you'll see why I say this. If Action 52 had been attempted like right when Nintendo came out, when Atari was still pretty much the market saturator, when people were just starting to save up money and afford Nintendos because they were considerably more expensive than Ataris. And if you had parents like my mother, I already had like 20 Atari games and an Atari. She was gonna be like, "Why should I get you another system just because it's got better graphics? What the hell are graphics? I don't care." And I think Perri was banking on that. The fact that most people just would be taken in by the sheer number of games on one cartridge. The idea that you could buy your kid this game one time and you never have to buy him another one because it's 52 games, right? And unfortunately, like I said, once Nintendo had come out, by then Nintendo had completely saturated the market. Super Nintendo was on its way in. People were familiar with games like Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, Legend of Zelda 1 and 2. People knew what good games looked like. Kids, adults, teenagers, whatever, people knew what good games looked like, and most importantly, they knew what shitty games looked like, and pretty much everything on Action 52 would fall into the shitty game, standard. In the little clip I'm going to show you here in a bit, I actually play the ones that I consider to be the best, and they're not that good. Trust me, it's like the song says, if that's your best won't do. So, Perri was definitely more of a businessman than a gamer. So he approached this like a businessman. He set the price at a whopping $199 for a single cart, but he broke that down, and if you watch the fabulous Angry Video Game Nerd over on Cinemassacre, James Rolfe, he does a video that absolutely, it's one of his best videos ever, where he goes through all 52 of the games and breaks it down to how it was supposed to be like, okay, $4 a game. That's pretty smart considering that, most Nintendo games back then were anywhere from 30 to 40 to even 50 depending on the title. $4 a game, you buy them all at once. I think Perri was thinking this would be the ultimate Christmas present, stocking stuffer type thing. You would not have to buy your kids games anymore because they now have 52 in one, and they're not going to care about quality, and that turned out to be, like I said, a load of shit. The final game, number 52 on the cartridge, was the Cheetahmen, which was the one part where I think Perri tried to combine his business sense, with current market trends, looking at things like the Ninja Turtles and other franchises like that. He thought, okay, cool, the Cheetahmen, that's going to do it. There was actually a television commercial for this game produced that featured, the Cheetahmen. There were supposed to be comic books. There was going to be a cartoon planned. All of this was laid out, action figures, the whole 9 yards. And sadly, like I said, I don't know, and I kind of touched back on this in the gaming clip, I don't know if it was a matter of just launching the Cheetahmen on something as shitty as Action 52, or if it was just poorly thought out. But like I said, and I talk about this later, I mean, this was a time when Biker Mice from Mars, Ninja Turtles, Street Sharks, any of these animal crime-fighting things would catch on. They were all moderately successful, and Ninja Turtles was extremely successful. So I can't fault Perri for thinking, okay, we make this game, 52 games in one, it's so smart, we sell it for a lot of money, we produce it for next to fucking nothing, and then we just use that to bankroll this cartoon franchise, the Cheetahmen. I think that Vince Perri was thinking of it like an entrepreneur, and he was thinking in his 5 to 10 year plan was he was going to be completely loaded. He was going to be, an innovator, and everybody was going to be coming to him asking for his secret sauce as far as how he, just revolutionized the video game / cartoon, action figure, comic book market with his wonderful 52 games and his Cheetahmen. The problem, though, came in the fact that, I mean, he went and he just really went with the lowest bidder. He went with a group of college guys, 4 guys that were, some of them I think were actually still in college, others had their degrees in game design and computer electronics and things like that. He definitely did not go with time-tested professionals. Everybody on the team, essentially, this was kind of like their first big project. And I think his hope was just to form this think tank, all of their, combined levels of expertise, no matter how small, would come together to form one successful company, which sadly did, if you play the game and if you see the game, you'll know that did not come through. Not to mention, he gave these 4 guys 3 months to finish 52 games. 3 months to do 52 games. I've never designed a game in my entire life, but I feel like your games like Mario and Zelda and Punch-Out and all those other ones, I feel like they took more than 3 months just by themselves. If you want to do something right, you take your time. You don't push that shit out real quick. Sadly, he broke those rules. He did not go with subject matter experts. He did not give them a time frame to work with. And had they been working on one game or even 2 or 3 games, even if it had been like Action 10, who knows? This could have been something great. But he wanted 52 games on one cart. Why 52 exactly? I have no idea. Maybe just because the other game that he played, the one from Taiwan, had 40. And he said, fuck it, I'm going to beat you by 12 plus my Cheetahmen. Another interesting thing is that the Cheetahmen was like a last-minute introduction. That wasn't even supposed to be on the original cart. The original cart, and if you watch in the game itself, if you select the Cheetahmen game, and you'll see it when I play it, it's actually not even called the Cheetahmen when it loads. It's called the Action Game Master because the whole idea at the end was that the 50-second game would have been just a guy, the game master, I guess, who maybe was supposed to be you, the player. I don't know. It could have just been a frowny face, would have probably adequately portrayed that. But, that was supposed to be you fighting all the other bosses and monsters from the other 51 games. And then, Vince Perri gets this idea at the last minute, and he goes, holy shit, I want to do the Cheetahmen, and we're going to put it on the Action 52 cartridge as the final game. And this, once again, just set the whole project back, and it's like, all right, assholes, you're adding this in now. And yeah. So it was kind of like one of those, just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And when the game got released, that's exactly what happened. For one thing, the low production value of the games jumped out. It did. I don't think Perri was expecting, kids to be that in tune to game quality. I think he just thought the sheer magnitude of having 52 different games on one cartridge would be enough to sell his product for him. Problem is, when that product did sell, when I was a kid, I knew a shitty game from a good game. Even on the Atari, I remember getting games that I really, really liked, like Adventure and Haunted House. And then I remember getting really shitty games that I was just like, holy crap, this is work. Like that Ghostbusters game for the Atari 2600 was an absolute fucking nightmare to try to figure out and play. So yeah, and that was Ghostbusters, and I loved the Ghostbusters, and I loved video games, and they were all together in one place. By cool uncle game designer logic, I should have absolutely been in fucking heaven, but I hated it because the game was awful. Even back then, like I said, we knew good games from bad games, and when you tried to put a bad game in front of us, we didn't want to play it. It's as simple as that. And I think Perri was just kind of going under that idea that, hey, it's a video game, and it's a whole lot of video games all rolled into one. Not only that, but there was a lot of, and I use the word a lot when I do my little play part here, there was a lot of ambition behind this. I give credit where credit's due. And this is certainly not meant to just shit on this guy and his idea, because I do believe that at the heart of this, it was a good idea. But when you look at all of the issues that came with it, I just start seeing a lot of bad business practices. And here, there's actual quotes from the game designers, from Perri himself. Here's a quote where Perri talks about how, he just happened to see his son playing an illegal product made in Taiwan that had 40 games, and that was what made him want to make Action 52. I think whenever your inspiration is an illegal product, you're probably going in the wrong direction. When you look at something that's already like fucked up by nature, and then you go, oh man, yes, see that crack pipe over there? I'm going to make the legal crack pipe, and it's going to be great, and people are going to love it. You're already off to a bad start. You talk about the 4 guys with the 3 months to make 52 games. Apparently they got paid about $1,500 for their work when it was said and done. Not worth it whatsoever, but yet that was just kind of the direction that it went in. And, when you see these problems come up, you can absolutely tell why there were so many issues with this game. So all of that became really self-evident when the game hit the market. There were also other problems. Here's one for you right here where it talks about how the game itself was just ripped off from pirated stuff. There's talks about how the music was stolen from other games, just all kind of stuff like that. So the problem is, and I've been in retail management a time or two in my life, and I can tell you one of the biggest problems with retail world is that when products start getting returned a lot, which this game got returned a lot. All right, you're putting $200 down on the register. You want something good, and when it's not, you're definitely going to return it. If he was selling these for $30 a piece, people probably would have not returned it as much. But when we start talking about $200, yeah, people are going to come for their money back because they just got taken for $200. And this is like early 90s. $200 was a lot more in, 91, 92 than it is now. So definitely people were coming for their money back. This made retailers not want to sell the game. Vince Perri already got paid. When these retailers bought 100 copies of Action 52, Vince Perri got paid for 100 copies of Action 52 with whatever his wholesale markup or whatever it was. But you're not banking on that one-time sell-through. You're banking on these stores ordering more games. They want more Action 52. That's going to give you more money to make fucking Action 53 or whatever. That didn't happen because once people start returning the games, that means the retailer has to send that game back to the manufacturer. They might get a small percentage back depending on how they're structured. They might get 50% back. They might get 10% back. They might get no percent back, all depending on how distribution was set up. All that adds up to retailers saying we're not going to order any more of these games. Once we sell through, Perri got paid for those initial shipments, but we're not going to order any more games. That's just retail 101. Not to mention, this game was never licensed officially by Nintendo. Now, Nintendo had a lockout chip going on in their games, which meant that if it didn't have that little cool guy seal on the game that says like official product of Nintendo, if it didn't have that, it would not play properly or at all in your NES. Now, of course, companies like Wisdom Tree and obviously Vince Perri's game, they found ways around that. They found ways to defeat the lockout chip. But Nintendo got word of this, and they just said to all your big retailers, they told your Toys R Us's and your Walmarts and your Kmarts and shit, they just said, look, check it out. We can't stop you from ordering and selling these games. We can't stop you, but I'll tell you what, if we find out you're doing it, we're going to stop selling you Nintendo games. And that's a problem. Because back then, Nintendo games were a huge part of what was making stores money. You wanted to have Nintendo on your shelf. Stores had signs at the front saying, we sell Nintendo. I remember ZM Video, the store where I used to rent a lot of my video games and horror movies and stuff from back when I was a youngster. They had signs all over the front. Hey, we got Nintendo. And that's all they had to. That's how powerful Nintendo was. At that time, you got to figure, there was still Atari. I think 7800 was still, puttering around out there somewhere trying to compete. You had the Sega Master System, which was Sega's 8-bit system, which was, I guess, supposed to kind of compete with the NES, graphic and music-wise. Even Genesis was starting to come out. And you didn't see those games at ZM Video or Video Plus or Major Video. I'm just naming off all the old New Orleans, local rental stores. You didn't see them at Blockbuster, okay? You didn't see them there. You didn't see Sega games. You didn't see, maybe some did, But I remember all the ones I saw, it was Nintendo. Nintendo was everywhere. If any other game systems were represented, it was a much smaller amount. So yeah, if you're Walmart, Kmart, Toys R Us, whatever, and you have Nintendo threatening to pull their distro from your shelves, then yeah, you're not going to risk that in order to have this horrible Action 52 overpriced shit out there that's getting returned left and right anyway. So that was just more incentive for retailers to just stop ordering the game, which they did. So now you got no more Action 52 being ordered. Somehow or another, Vince Perri actually did raise the funds to make a Sega Genesis version of the game. I'm not really covering that one in this video, but yeah, there was a Sega Master System game. There's a whole big plan for a whole bunch of other stuff. Like I said, there was some decency to the way he ran this operation too. There was actually a game on there called The Ooze, okay? And The Ooze had supposedly this built-in contest for players. If players could beat the 5th level of The Ooze, I believe, they would get this secret screen, which I will show you right here, and it would give you this code, and you could enter this code, and you could potentially win, I guess, $104,000, 52,000 of it yours, cash money, and then $52,000 to go towards a scholarship, I guess, for you to go to college. You can definitely tell right there that this game was definitely only being marketed to kids if they were offering college scholarships as prizes. You can already definitely see the mindset of video games back then. I mean, they weren't thinking like, okay, a 35-year-old dude that's already been to college or whatever might be playing this too. What can we put in there for him? No, they knew kids were going to be the majority, or, you know, maybe in their mindset, the entirety of the audience, you know, playing this. So yeah, okay, so 52 grand in your pocket and 52 grand towards college. That's a noble little contest. I give them a ton of credit, except for the fact that the fucking Ooze game could not make it to level 5. It would crash every time. And this was like an internal coding problem. There, you could not Formula 409, whatever, and cotton swab that game enough to clean that problem out. It had nothing to do with the game, any, you know, condition of the game as far as a glitch or anything like that. It was a coding issue. There was no way around it. So you could never get to this screen. And furthermore, the code on there was the same on every game. They did not even randomize the code. I don't think that's because they intentionally set up the game to crash. With all the issues that this game had, I cannot imagine that this one crash was intentional. Like, okay, yeah, we'll promise this, you know, and then just make sure it never happens. I just think that the crash was just part of the shitty design, and the fact that it was the same code for every single game, or for every single cartridge, was also just part of the fucking problem. Just part of them not seeing things through properly. I don't think it's because they thought the game was so damn difficult that nobody could ever do it. I just think they came up with one randomly generated code and said, fuck it. Maybe there was supposed to be an algorithm somewhere in there to, you know, change up the code. Clearly, it never got that far because it was the same code for every single game. All right, so the game failed badly, and Vince Perri vanished. Alright guys, so that's what we really know about him up until right now, is that it was just this mysterious vanishing. So that, coupled with the bizarre emails of why do you want to know this, it opens up a lot of possible explanations. We're going to explore those explanations right after this. I promised you guys some Action 52 playing, and that is exactly what you're going to get right now. Alright guys, welcome to Action 52. I apologize for the somewhat shift in audio, as I am now recording on a slightly different platform before I patch all of this together. You're going to get that, I don't know, maybe this one sounds better. I don't know. All I do know is here is some Action 52. That's right, this is the game that started it all. That's right, this entire video, all dedicated around this crazy little game that, as you can see, has 52 entire games built into it. There you go. You know, if you really want to see a great playthrough, because I'm really not trying to do like a let's play or a playthrough video here with this, go over to Cinemassacre and check out the Angry Video Game Nerd. He did an absolutely phenomenal rundown of this game. He played every single one of the games on it, and you know, he went into pretty much every one of them that would actually play. So go check that out if you really want to see a good walkthrough of this game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few of the games on here that I think are the better of the games. We'll start, and I don't think the Ooze is a great game, but this is the one that came with like the you know, the free tuition and $52,000 cash prize. So I think it's worth taking a look at it. This is the supposedly unplayable, unbeatable game, and I can tell you, when you start playing this, you can tell right away that the people behind this were really not versed in, you know, really how to set up games. Because for one thing, the controls are completely inverted. I mean, there's only 2 buttons to really play with in the first place. But, you know, so you really only had 2 chances to get it wrong, I guess, and they did. Everybody who grew up playing Mario Brothers, you know, and any other kind of Nintendo games, you know, they know which buttons are supposed to do what feels the most comfortable, what works the best for players. You know, Nintendo definitely had the secret sauce when it came to setting up good controls for a lot of their games. This here has, you know, the attack is what would normally be the jump, and the jump is what would normally be the attack. And I'm going to tell you, it is not easy to adjust to. I'm sure if I sat here and played this long enough, yes, I could. But I'm not going to play this long enough to ever adjust to this. The other problem is, and you know, once again, James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, he covers this so much better than I will. But yes, when you go to jump, you have to actually jump and then press in the direction that you want to go. Once again, that's just really bad controls. I mean, you know, you're used to running and then jumping, but if you do that, you'll just jump straight up. You actually have to stop, jump, and then push where you want to go. It's really, really clunky. It does not play well. I can see why this is the game that they went with to give away a whole assload of money, because I don't know, you know, even if this game wasn't bugged, even if you could beat it, I don't know if anybody would have the patience to. This is just really, really awkward gameplay. And I mean, that's all I really have to say about the Ooze. Alright, so going back to the main menu. Alrighty, I have played this game in the past. I remember, you know, I was a manager for this little place called Game Trader about 1,000,000 years ago down here in New Orleans, and we had a copy of this. Game Trader was one of those like buy, sell, trade, used games type things. And we got an Action 52 in. Had I known at that time that this thing would one day be valued at like $250, I would have bought it, because I think we were selling it for real cheap, you know, because it was not a fun game. Nobody wanted it. Real quick, I'll show you this one. This is what I consider to be the best game on here. This is Haunted Hills, and then when you start playing it, it's called Haunted Halls. Either way, you have a Lara Croft kind of character here. Maybe she's the great aunt of Lara Croft. Maybe this is Mara Croft. I don't know. And you have like flying booger guys and ghosts, and you know, it's the one that feels the most like, you know, I think once again James Rolfe said it best over on Cinemassacre when he said like, this is the one that feels somewhat like a video game when you start playing it. Like, not totally like a video game, but somewhat like a video game. I mean, I wouldn't be completely pissed to have to play this. It does have those same really horrible inverted controls though, so you know, you're still dealing with that. They couldn't get that right, even though I will say that the controls flow a little bit better on this one, on Haunted Halls. This one is called Slashers. It's kind of a really bootleg Double Dragon. I mean, it's really awful. The controls once again are just plain bizarre. This guy with the square head and the sunglasses, he has 2 attacks. He has a really high kick. I mean, this dude does some ballet or something. And a really ridiculous looking punch. I don't know if he's clapping his hands. I don't know if he's doing an uppercut or just thrusting his elbow. I don't know. But the worst part about it is, and if you ever play this, you'll definitely see it, when you encounter an enemy, everything stops. You can't go around them. You can't walk past them. As you can see, the guy moonwalks everywhere he goes. Oh, you can go past him if you lure them. Ooh, you guys might have just witnessed this. I may have just found a secret in Action 52. You can totally avoid these. Oh my God, you don't have to fight them. Like, this is not theater, folks. I literally just discovered this while I'm recording myself playing this game. You know, you don't have to lock up with these people. You can actually just get them to go around you if you pull them to the back of the screen. Look at that. So there you go, guys. There you go. My channel is doing some good for the world after all. Anybody who wants to really beat this game on Action 52 slashers, here's a great trick to doing it. You can just totally get these guys to just bypass you. It's like they just don't even care. They're like, whatever, dude, I'm gone. I'm going home. I don't want to fight you. Yep, screw it. Yep, oh, see you later. And he just leaves. I like that. These are like the most passive-aggressive enemies in a game. They walk up on you all scary, and then they're like, you know what? Nah, not in the mood today. I'm out of here. Let's see. Oh, that one got a couple of hits in. And yeah, I mean, you can just kind of keep doing this. You can fight them if you want to, I guess, but it's such a stupid system of fighting them. Like, you're just stuck there pretty much just mashing buttons as fast as you can and hope that you do more damage to them than they do to you. That little weird series of, like, eggshell white and red squares down there, those are your life bar. So, as you can see, I am almost dead. But hey, I made it to the end of the level. And I bypassed almost all of the bad guys. I like that. It's like, you know, it's like the peaceful way. It's like, look, guys, why are we really fighting each other on top of this roof? Is it really necessary? Just go home. Go, you know where you can find some real action at your local public library. Get on down there or read a book. And the only other thing I really want to look at, because honestly this is not an easy game to try to review within a conspiracy video, because I could spend all day doing this, going through this game, you know, like piece by piece. Let's look at the Cheetahmen real quick. Now this was Vince Perri's like golden child, as we've already discussed. Like, this was his, oh my God, look at this guy. The action game master was at home playing his video game when suddenly he realized he was playing Action 52, and he asked his TV to please neuter him so that he would never play Action 52 again. And then he turned into a really old-looking Spock character and was instantly murdered by these psychopaths. The end. This is supposed to be the Cheetahmen. You get a little cutscene. Now, the story behind it is, I think I've already covered. If I haven't, here it is. The Cheetahmen was never supposed to even be in this game. It's one of the other many reasons why this game was such a complete fucking train wreck. The original 50-second game right here, as you can see, is actually, they didn't even change the title. It's still called Action Game Master because the intention, they really got a 2-player option. I'm sorry, I just noticed that for the first time. Like, who the fuck would come over and play this with you? Anyway, yeah, the original idea was that on this level, the 50-second game, whatever, you would play, I guess, as, I don't know if the guy is supposed to be you. I don't know if he's like the everyman, you know, the game master. I don't know if Vince Perri thought kids were going to play the fucking games in order, and then by the time you got to 52, you'd already beaten them all because they're so goddamn good. I don't know. All I do know is that the Cheetahmen idea was something that he came up with after the 50-second level was already fucking programmed. So, and that's why all the enemies in here are still just random crap that you've already encountered in other games. You know, that's why there's no, like, unique Cheetahmen enemies except for, like, the bosses of the levels, because this was supposed to be completely something else, but Vince Perri got that idea in his head. He said, oh, no, it's got to be the Cheetahmen. Clearly, he was trying to bank off the, you know, popularity of shows like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, I mean, you can't ignore the fact that this was his attempt at, like, a Ninja Turtles, you know, ripoff. But, you know, who knows? And, you know, if it had not been, if the Cheetahmen had not been rushed into the end of the game, for one thing, which gave us this really horrible fucking game. I mean, this is supposed to be like the damn crown jewel of Action 52, and it is not. You know, if there had been real work, real effort put into it, you know, and good marketing. I mean, I've said before, Vince Perri was, you know, he was clearly a business guy. He clearly understood the concepts of business. He just did not understand the business of video games. But if he would have tried this any other way, then who knows? I mean, if something like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Biker Mice from Mars and Street Sharks and all these other fucking crazy animal crime fighter shows from the 90s, if any of that could take off, then Cheetahmen absolutely could have been a potential, they could have had a dog in the fight. Who knows? Apparently, like I said earlier, Perri had plans for comic books, action figures, the whole 9 yards to go along with this. This was supposed to be his, this was going to be his freaking Woodstock, man. He was going to just revolutionize gaming and toys and comic books and everything with his almighty Cheetahmen. That didn't happen, obviously, because he tried to use Action 52 to propel the Cheetahmen into the world. I mean, that is not the way you introduce something that you want people to like. You don't introduce a shitty product with terrible games and then say, oh yeah, by the way, this is the best game on here. It also sucks, but it's also the best, and you're going to totally love it, and you're going to want to play with the Cheetahmen dolls and comic books and everything else because they're so damn cool. This game is really hard to play also. These enemies just come out of every which way but loose. The hit detection's all over the place. I have no life bar, so I can't even tell how healthy my cheetah is right now. And these bats are just the fucking devil, man. They just come out of everywhere and just like dive bomb right into you. Anyway, that's it. That is all of the Cheetahmen that I can stand. There are a lot of games on here. I do want to play some more games on my channel, don't get me wrong. It's not going to be Action 52, though. I mean, one, like I said, Cinemaskers, Angry Video Game Nerd, James Rolfe, he already did a magnificent job. Anything that I attempted to do here would just be, blatantly copying what he did. There's no way that I can insult this game better than he did, or more eloquently, or more accurately, or more thoroughly. So I just wanted to show a little bit of the game so you guys watching the video and listening to the story of Vince Perri and his, Action 52 quest to be the best could kind of get an understanding as to why exactly this game is considered so awful and failed so badly. You had to see it. It's one of those things that I could tell you about it all day, but you gotta actually see it to believe it. Alright, so we're going to go back to the other audio, so my voice might change just a little bit as I escape the action game master world here. My robot claw is going to raise me up out of my TV screen and back into my living room so that I can finish this video. Thank you. Alright guys, I have returned from Action 52 land. Thank God. I didn't know if I was going to make it out of there or not. And I am back, and we're going to wrap this video up because this one is turning into a marathon. And honestly, what I was saving for the end here, besides that stunning run-through of the Action 52 game, is the big, creepy, oddball conspiracy with these email responses that everybody gets that has tried to contact Vince Perri. And why does it do that? Why does it dead end that way? So, staying within the realm of logic, because I don't think, as creepy and cool as it kind of is, to kind of discuss it, in all reality, I gotta tell you, I don't think there's anything beyond just simple business behind this. The bottom line is the guy could have been embarrassed to the point where he just wanted to leave. There's rumors that he, left the United States altogether. There's rumors that he went to the Cayman Islands or other such places. I'm not going to insinuate that he stole any money from investors or did anything like that. There is, of course, I would not be doing my journalistic Action 52 duty if I didn't point out the fact that one of the reasons that somebody could have gone into hiding like that could be because, they took something. Absolutely. Like I said, there was one of the big things that was discussed when I was looking through this was the fact that, Perri raised somewhere around, at least according to the documents I was able to find, he raised somewhere around like $20 million from investors to make this game, but never really spent more than about $100,000. So, yeah, we all know how it looks, where the rest of that money go, but that's just me making an objective point. I have no clue where the money went, nor do I have any reason to believe that Vince Perri committed any kind of fraud. It's just, it's when you look at why somebody would just disappear off the face of the earth, and not just some rando, but somebody who was actually running a company, somebody who actually had investors, who had a product, what causes somebody like that to just up and disappear? And like I said, it could have been something as simple as embarrassment. This game flopped really badly. Investors were probably furious about this. Vince Perri strikes me as the kind of guy, just from reading about him, that he was probably a really great hype guy, really great showman. Like I discussed earlier, the way he got these college dudes to stay on and toil around the clock to finish this game in 3 months. He probably made some promises, and he may have made those promises in complete and total good faith at the time that he made them. He may have truly believed from, data analysis and market trends and whatever else you got, that Action 52 was just on a rocket ride to the moon, could not fail, that it was going to be the next big thing. So I'm not saying that he misled people. I'm just saying he may have used a lot of charisma and a lot of hype to keep people on board, to get investors involved, and all this other stuff. And all of this coming from the fact that he witnessed, a bootleg game from Taiwan of 40-1 and said, I can make a better, shitty, all-in-one game. I think if he had done this differently, this game could have possibly been a trailblazer. But unfortunately, the combination of, inexperienced developers and designers, and just the time frame alone, just absolutely ridiculous. Nobody's going to make a great game, especially one with this many moving pieces in 3 months. It's impossible. So there is a possibility that he owes money, or that he took money. There is, of course, the possibility that he was just embarrassed out of town. And what makes this kind of a cool thing to discuss, not just with the creepy email responses of why do you want to know this in all caps, but just, the fact that there's so little information really readily available on Vince Perri. I mean, he was making games in the 90s. It's not like this is, some mysterious figure from 100 years ago. You would think that there would be more information, especially after the game was released, considering especially that there was a Sega Genesis version made afterwards. So the big clusterfuck that was the NES version did not signal the end of Action 52. It was attempted one more time. Now, I don't know offhand, because I really only set out to talk about the NES version and, Perri's Disappearance. I don't know if Perri was heavily involved in the Genesis version or not, so I could be wrong on that. Do your own research, and, let me know. Let me know if you don't mind. So, about the emails. Now, what's that all about, right? That's what really inspired me to make this video, too. If it weren't for that, why do you want to know this angle, I don't think I would have made a very lengthy Action 52 complete history of type video. But we're here now, and let's stay the course. Let's finish this bad boy out, right? Some people allege, and I'm going by the rumors that I've read, rumors about him that, Vince Perri himself is responding to these emails. There's also rumors that the man has passed away. So, with full respect for that, I hope he's all right, But there are rumors that the guy did pass away. He would be in his old age right now. I mean, I believe that in the 90s, when he was running Action 52, he was already, in his late 40s. So now you fast forward up to 2018, he would have been an older gentleman. So that's one of the rumors that I've heard, that he did pass away. Some of the information that I read stated that it might become easier to find out information about him after he did pass away, because there would really be nothing left to really protect anymore, I guess. But, nothing else has really popped up. If you Google Vince Perri, Action 52, whatever, you don't get any real information about Vince Perri besides really what I talked about and what can be found, pretty quickly, that he was a Floridian businessman who wanted to make this game based off of inspiration from a bootleg from Taiwan. And we got some information on the development, we got some information on what went into it, and definitely were able to form some good ideas as to why the game failed so badly. Seems like it was all in the production and the operational ends. And maybe he was just really hoping that, like I said, banking on the fun uncle kind of disconnected from the gaming world idea, that kids just wouldn't give a shit because it's 52 different shitty games. They'll spend all day wearing themselves out playing them. I think that was his thought process going in. If I had to take an educated guess, I could be wrong. So we'll never know. I can tell you that there are some independent game developers out there that have worked really hard to remaster Action 52. So if you ever want to take a shot at this game with fixed controls and better graphics and games you can actually beat, you're not going to win $52,000 cash, I can tell you that. But, it is a cool game. Check it out. You can actually see it play more maybe how they envisioned it. I don't know. But the email response, like I said, if Mr. Perri is in fact still around, he could be responding himself. He is an old guy, right? One thing I can tell you from dealing with, elderly folks on the internet is they do like to type in the caps. And it's not even always if they're angry. It seems like they just do it because they're like, oh, this will get their attention. I don't know. It could be Vince Perri, just saying, why do you want to know this? Do your own homework, I would say. Look into it. There's some absolutely fabulous articles. I'll link the articles that I got my research from in the video description, so you guys can check that out if you want. I'm sure there's ways to reach out to the very talented journalists who put all that information together for us, so guys like me can make these videos. You can ask them and probably get a good piece of the story from them. Do you want to try to contact Vince Perri yourself? Let me know. Maybe we'll set that up. Maybe that'll be our big live stream. We'll live stream ourselves trying to email Vince Perri, and we'll see how long it takes to get the "Why do you want to know this?" response. But that is pretty much it, guys. Thank you for bearing with me through all of this. This video was more of, I think, a historical review of a terrible 90s bootleg NES game than it really was a creepy conspiracy video. But either way, I hope you had fun listening to me flap my gums about it just the same. Alright, so here is the part of the game, or here's the part of the game. Here's Action 53, the 53rd level, where I beg you to please subscribe and like and comment and share and tell your friends. Tell the Cheetahmen, tell the Action Game Master, tell Alfred and the Fennec, tell Haunted Halls, tell everybody about K-Ban and Kellum Presents right over here on YouTube. Get them to subscribe. I heard that if you get the ooze to subscribe, you might get a secret code and get like 52 dog turds or something. I don't know. Either way, guys, check me out on Twitter. Come on over and hang out. We can talk about Action 52 all day long. You can find me at BannonK1979 on Twitter. Once again, please subscribe, ring the bell, comment, all that great stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Have a great Action 52 evening.